You open your phone. You didn't decide to. Your thumb just moved. Scroll. Scroll. Nothing there.
Nada.
You already knew that. But you keep going. Why?
Why?
The easy answer is that apps are designed to be addictive.
Yep.
That's true. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't broken.
Nope.
Your brain is hunting. It has been hunting for 2 million years, and it never got the memo that the hunt is over. Picture your ancestors on the savannah 40,000 years ago. No supermarkets,
Nope.
no refrigerators.
Nada.
Just open grassland, scattered bushes, and food that had to be found. Every single day was a search problem.
Damn.
Where's the fruit? Where's the water? Where did the herd go? Their brains evolved to solve exactly one puzzle over and over. Keep looking or stay here. That puzzle has a name in science. It's called foraging. And it turns out foraging isn't just something your ancestors did with their hands. It's something your brain still does, constantly, with attention itself. In the 1970s, a biologist named Eric Charnoff studied how animals decide when to leave a patch of food and move to the next one. He called it the marginal value theorem.
Right.
The idea is simple. An animal stays in a food patch as long as the rate of reward feels good. The moment the rate drops, even slightly, something in its brain says leave. Go find a better patch. This isn't a conscious decision. It's a threshold, built by evolution, running quietly underneath awareness. Now look at your phone again. Every feed, every app, every website is a patch. Scrolling is foraging. And your brain is running the exact same threshold Charnoff measured in foraging birds and squirrels decades ago. The post wasn't interesting. Leave. Refresh. New patch. The next one wasn't either. Leave again. You're not weak-willed. You're a forager, standing in an infinite field of patches, and your ancient reward system was never built to handle a field that never runs out. Here's where it gets stranger. Anthropologist Kristen Hawkes spent years living with the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer community in Tanzania, studying exactly how foraging decisions shaped human behavior. She found something unexpected. Hadza foragers didn't just chase the food with the biggest immediate payoff. They weighed risk, memory of past patches, and the chance that a bigger reward was waiting somewhere unseen. In other words, the hunt wasn't just about hunger, it was about uncertainty. The not knowing was part of the pull.
Damn.
Does that sound familiar? You don't check your phone because you're certain something good is there. You check it because you're not sure. And not knowing, to a brain built by 100,000 generations of foraging, is almost impossible to ignore.
Yeah!
Hawks noticed something else too. The best Hadza hunters didn't always bring home the most food for their own families.
Nope.
Often they shared massive kills across the entire camp, gaining almost nothing in direct nutrition for the effort.
Nada.
For years, this puzzled researchers. Why hunt so hard for a reward you're about to give away? Hawkes proposed an answer that reframed the whole question. The hunt itself was the signal. Skill at finding what was hidden, at solving the search problem better than anyone else in the group, earned status, respect,
My authority.
alliances. The chase mattered as much as the catch. Sit with that for a second, because it explains something about you that has nothing to do with food at all.
Nope.
Every time you feel the pull to be first to know something, first to share a headline, first to spot a trend before anyone else in your circle, you're not being vain. You're running the same status circuitry that once rewarded the hunter who found the herd before the rest of the camp did.
Excellent.
That circuitry didn't evolve slowly, either. It came under enormous pressure. A brain this expensive, this metabolically costly, only survives evolution if it earns its keep. And the evidence suggests it earned its keep specifically through search.
Damn.
Anthropologists studying skeletal remains and tool use across the last 2 million years see a consistent pattern. Brain size grew fastest during periods when environments became less predictable, when food sources scattered, when finding anything required tracking, memory, and inference rather than simply grabbing what was in front of you. Uncertainty, in other words, didn't just annoy your ancestors, it built them.
Alrighty then.
There's a reason this feels less like a habit and more like a pull you can't fully explain. In the early 2000s, a researcher named Peter Paroli, working at Xerox PARC, was trying to understand how people search for information online. He noticed something odd. People browsing the internet behaved almost exactly like animals foraging for food. They followed information scent, small cues that suggested a reward was nearby, a headline, a thumbnail, a notification badge. Paroli called this information foraging theory. His conclusion was blunt. Your brain doesn't distinguish between hunting for berries and hunting for content. Same circuitry, same instinct, different patch. Think about what that means. The dopamine that once rewarded your ancestors for finding a fruit tree now fires when a video loads. The urge that once sent someone across the savannah toward a moving herd now sends your thumb across a screen toward a new headline. You inherited a search engine built for the wilderness, and you're running it at full speed in an environment made entirely of patches. Paroli didn't stop at describing the behavior. He tried to measure it. Working alongside cognitive scientist Stuart Card, he studied how people navigate menus, links, and search results, timing every click, every pause, every abandoned page. What he found was a kind of internal economics. People weren't reading every word on a page.
Nope.
They were scanning for scent, that faint signal that a reward might be nearby, and deciding, often in under a second, whether to keep clicking or give up and try a different path. Multiply that decision by the billions of scrolls happening on any given day, and you start to see something remarkable. An entire global industry has been built, whether by design or by accident, around triggering the oldest decision your brain knows how to make. And this is where the ancient system starts to strain. On the savannah, information sent was mostly honest. A trail of berries actually led somewhere. Fresh tracks actually meant an animal was near. The signal and the reward were connected by reality itself.
Yeah!
Online, that link has been cut.
Damn.
A headline can promise something the article never delivers. A notification can spike your attention without any real reward behind it at all.
Nada.
Your foraging instinct evolved in a world where the scent rarely lied. It was never built for a world where the scent is manufactured on purpose, by people whose only goal is to make you click. But why would evolution build a system that never feels satisfied? Wouldn't it be more efficient to just feel content and stop? Actually, no. Contentment is dangerous for a forager. An animal that feels fully satisfied stops searching, and an animal that stops searching too early starves the moment the environment changes. So evolution built restlessness in on purpose. A small, persistent itch that never fully resolves. Just enough dissatisfaction to keep you moving toward the next patch, forever. It kept your ancestors alive. It also means that no amount of scrolling was ever going to feel like enough, because enough was never the point. Searching was the point.
Yeah!
Now here's the twist that changes how you should think about the whole thing. This restlessness isn't a modern flaw.
Nope.
It's not something wrong with you, and it's not something wrong with this generation.
Nope.
It's the same mechanism that once pushed a hunter to track an animal for 6 hours across open land, refusing to give up, refusing to feel finished until the moment of the kill.
Victory.
That relentless drive built civilizations. It built agriculture, migration, trade routes, science itself. Curiosity is foraging wearing a nicer coat. The problem isn't the mechanism. The problem is the environment. Charnov's foraging animals lived in a world with real limits. Patches ran out. Effort had a cost. Distance mattered. Your phone has none of those limits.
Nada.
It is a patch that regenerates infinitely, refreshes instantly, and costs almost nothing to enter.
Nothing.
You are a Pleistocene forager standing in front of the first food source in history that never, ever runs dry.
Yeah!
Of course you can't stop. No forager in 10 million years of evolution was ever asked to solve that problem because it never existed before now. So what do you do with that? You stop blaming your willpower for one thing. Willpower was never the mechanism competing here. Environment was.
Damn!
Hunter-gatherers didn't resist infinite patches through discipline. They simply never encountered one. If you want your foraging instinct to work for you instead of against you, the leverage point isn't more self-control. It's shrinking the patch. Fewer notifications, fewer feeds that never end, fewer environments engineered to erase the moment your ancient brain would have said, leave.
I'm out!
Because that moment still exists in you. It's still there, quiet, underneath the scrolling.
Yeah!
The part of you that once knew when a patch had given all it had to give. The part that once looked up from a bush that had run out of fruit and felt, clearly, that it was time to move towards something real. That instinct isn't gone. It's just been buried under a feed engineered to never let the reward rate drop low enough for you to notice.
Damn!
Think about how strange that is. For nearly the entire span of human existence, the feeling of, this isn't giving me anything anymore,
Every other place sucks too.
was one of the most useful signals your brain could produce. It saved energy, it ended fruitless searches. It sent your ancestors toward the next ridge instead of wasting daylight on a bush that was already stripped bare.
Nothing!
That signal took hundreds of thousands of years to calibrate, and it took less than 2 decades of infinite feeds to make it almost useless. Not because the signal broke, but because the patches learned to reset themselves before the signal could ever fire.
Damn!
That's not a flaw in you. It's a mismatch between an old, well-built system and a new environment nobody designed it for. Charnov's foraging animals never had to solve that mismatch because nature never handed them a patch that refilled itself in real time.
Nope.
Hawks' hunters never had to solve it either because status in the Hadza camp was earned through effort that had a visible, finite end. Paroli's information foragers came the closest to your situation, and even he was studying a much smaller, much slower internet than the one you carry in your pocket now.
Damn!
Somewhere in your evolutionary history, a forager who trusted that instinct walked away from an empty patch
This place sucks.
and found a fuller one over the next ridge. And that decision, repeated across thousands of ancestors, is the reason you exist at all. You still carry that same threshold. You still feel that same pull toward the next unknown. You just haven't been given a next ridge in a long time. Only another patch, and another, and another. So the next time your thumb moves before you've decided anything, notice it. That isn't distraction.
Nope.
That's your ancestors, still hunting, still convinced that just over the next scroll, the real reward is waiting.
Is it?
You open your phone. You didn't decide to. And now you know exactly why.